The global trade landscape is once again fraught with tension. The intricate web of international commerce is being tested as nations grapple with new economic policies and shifting alliances. The United States, under President Trump's second term, has imposed new tariffs on Chinese goods. These tariffs are part of a broader strategy to address what the administration perceives as unfair trade practices and to reduce the trade deficit with China. This has ignited a trade war, echoing similar tensions from earlier in the decade. The escalating conflict has sent shockwaves through global markets, causing fluctuations in stock prices and creating an atmosphere of economic uncertainty. These tariffs, aimed at protecting American businesses and workers, have triggered a strong reaction from China. The Chinese government has vowed to retaliate, and the initial responses have been swift and calculated. China's response has been swift and strategic. In addition to imposing their own tariffs on American goods, they have sought to strengthen economic ties with other nations, thereby reducing their reliance on the U.S. market. It has devalued its currency, the Yuan, making its exports cheaper in the global market. This move is designed to counteract the impact of the U.S. tariffs and maintain the competitiveness of Chinese products. This currency devaluation is just one of many tools in China's economic arsenal. By making their goods more affordable, they aim to keep their export-driven economy robust, despite the new tariffs. The world is now watching closely as the two economic giants lock horns in a high-stakes battle with potentially far-reaching consequences. Analysts are debating the long-term impacts, and businesses around the globe are bracing for the fallout. This is not the first time such tactics have been employed. History is replete with examples of trade conflicts that have reshaped economic landscapes and altered the course of international relations. The US and China engaged in a similar trade war during Trump's first term, resulting in tit-for-tat tariffs that disrupted global supply chains and created uncertainty in international markets. The repercussions were felt by consumers and businesses alike, leading to higher prices and reduced availability of goods. The current situation, however, unfolds against a backdrop of heightened geopolitical tensions and a global economy still grappling with the aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has already strained supply chains and disrupted economic activities, adding another layer of complexity to the trade war. The stakes are undeniably high, and the outcome of this economic conflict remains uncertain. Business leaders and policymakers are engaged in intense discussions, trying to navigate the turbulent waters of international trade. Both countries are trying to assert their dominance in the global trade arena, and the consequences of their actions will be felt far beyond their borders. The ripple effects could influence global trade policies, economic growth, and international relations for years to come. As the situation continues to evolve, the world is left to grapple with the potential ramifications of this new trade war. The international community is on edge, waiting to see how this economic showdown will unfold and what it will mean for the future of global trade. China's decision to devalue its currency is a calculated move, drawn from its economic playbook. This maneuver is designed to strategically position China in the global market, ensuring that its goods remain competitively priced. The devaluation aims to make Chinese exports more attractive to buyers worldwide by making them cheaper in terms of US dollars. This is particularly crucial as China seeks to maintain its export-driven growth model. This strategy is not new. Historically, China has often adjusted its currency value to respond to various economic pressures and to stay competitive in the international market. China has used currency devaluation in the past to navigate economic challenges and maintain its competitive edge in global trade. This tactic has been a cornerstone of its economic policy, especially during times of global financial uncertainty. In 2018 and 2019, during the initial trade war with the Trump administration, China employed similar tactics. The trade war saw the imposition of tariffs on Chinese goods, which threatened to reduce the competitiveness of Chinese exports. The yuan's depreciation helped cushion the blow of U.S. tariffs, allowing Chinese exporters to remain competitive despite the increased costs imposed by the trade war. This move was crucial in mitigating the adverse effects of the tariffs on China's economy. While this tactic proved somewhat effective in the short term, it also raised concerns about a potential currency war, where countries competitively devalue their currencies to gain a trade advantage. Such a scenario could lead to increased volatility in global financial markets. The current devaluation, however, occurs in a different global context. The COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally altered the global economic landscape, creating unprecedented challenges for international trade and economic stability. The COVID-19 pandemic has left its mark on the global economy, disrupting supply chains and impacting consumer demand. These disruptions have forced countries to rethink their economic strategies and adapt to a new normal. Additionally, geopolitical tensions, particularly between the US and China, have added another layer of complexity to the situation. These tensions have heightened the stakes, making economic maneuvers like currency devaluation even more significant. China's move to devalue the yuan is a clear signal of its intent to weather the storm of US tariffs and maintain its position as a global economic powerhouse. This decision reflects China's determination to safeguard its economic interests amid growing international pressures. However, this strategy is not without its risks, and its effectiveness in the long run remains to be seen. The global economic environment is highly dynamic, and the outcomes of such policies can be unpredictable. The world is watching closely, analyzing the potential consequences of China's actions for the global economy and the future of international trade. As China navigates these turbulent waters, its decisions will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications for the global economic order. The impact of the escalating trade war and China's currency devaluation has reverberated through global markets. Investors, already jittery amidst economic uncertainty, have reacted with concern to the escalating tensions between the world's two largest economies. Stock markets around the world have experienced volatility, reflecting the nervousness of investors facing the prospect of a prolonged trade war. The US stock market in particular has felt the tremors. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500, key indicators of the US stock market's health, have experienced significant declines since the announcement of the new tariffs and China's retaliatory devaluation. This decline reflects the concerns of investors about the potential negative impacts of the trade war on US businesses, particularly those reliant on Chinese imports or exports. The uncertainty surrounding the trade war has created a climate of fear and caution in the global market. Businesses are hesitant to make long-term investment decisions, fearing further escalation and unpredictable policy shifts. This hesitation can have a ripple effect throughout the global economy, potentially slowing down growth and impacting job creation. As the trade war continues, the instability in global markets is likely to persist. Investors are anxiously watching for any signs of de-escalation or potential breakthroughs in negotiations. Until then, the uncertainty and volatility are likely to remain, casting a shadow over the global economic outlook. The recent developments in the US-China trade war have captured global attention, with significant implications for international trade and economic stability. China's decision to devalue the yuan has added another layer of complexity to an already tense situation. This move has sparked diverse reactions from economists and market analysts who are now scrambling to understand the full impact. Experts are divided in their assessments of the situation, with some seeing it as a strategic maneuver and others as a risky gamble. They offer a range of predictions about the potential consequences, from short-term market fluctuations to long-term economic shifts. The long-term implications for the global economy are particularly concerning, as they could affect everything from trade balances to geopolitical alliances. Some analysts argue that China's currency devaluation is a strategic move designed to counteract the impact of US tariffs on its exports. By making its goods cheaper on the international market, China hopes to maintain its competitive edge despite the tariffs. They point to historical precedents, such as the 2018 to 2019 trade war, where similar tactics helped China remain competitive. During that period, China's strategic economic decisions allowed it to weather the storm and continue its growth trajectory. However, they also caution that excessive devaluation could trigger a currency war, leading to further global economic instability. A currency war could have devastating effects not just for China and the US, but for the entire global economy. It could lead to a race to the bottom, where countries competitively devalue their currencies, causing widespread financial turmoil. Other experts express concerns about the potential negative consequences of China's actions, particularly for its own economy. They argue that devaluation could trigger capital flight from China, weaken consumer confidence, and erode the value of the yuan. These factors, they warn, could destabilize the Chinese economy, which is already grappling with the aftershocks of a housing market crisis and slowing growth. The potential for a downward spiral is real, and the stakes are incredibly high. The Chinese government is under immense pressure to manage these challenges effectively, balancing short-term gains with long-term stability. The divergence in expert opinions underscores the complexity and uncertainty surrounding the current situation, making it difficult to predict the future with any certainty. The trade war's trajectory remains unclear, and the effectiveness of both the US's and China's strategies is yet to be determined. As both nations continue to negotiate and strategize, the global community watches closely, aware that the outcomes will have far-reaching implications. The global economy is at a crossroads, facing a pivotal moment that could shape the future of international trade and economic relations. The decisions made by the two economic giants in the coming months will have far-reaching consequences for the world, influencing everything from market stability to geopolitical dynamics. As the world waits and watches, the hope is that reason and diplomacy will prevail, leading to a more stable and prosperous global economy.